More clues as her mother, Casey, awaits trial for murder. NBC's Kerry Sanders has the latest. Kerry, good morning.
Well, good morning, Matt. Just beyond this no trespassing sign, about 60 feet into the woods, is where the skeletal remains were found. 2-year-old Kaylee Anthony. The medical examiner says she knows that Kaylee Anthony was murdered, but she may never know how she was killed. Cheers of gratitude as crime scene investigators wrapped up their work. The 10-day search in the woods, thanks to a tip by utility worker Roy Kronk.
I had spotted something suspicious.
Produced skeletal remains and reportedly some of Kaylee Anthony's clothes. And it may be those clothes that brought investigators back to the Anthony home this weekend. Among the listed items in a search warrant served at their house, Kaylee and Casey's shoes and clothes.
This time around, they took items of clothing. They took some shoes. And a few other items which I don't really want to address right now.
This is the third time a search warrant has been executed at the Anthony home, and it again raises the question, do detectives suspect grandparents George and Cindy Anthony participated in a cover-up to protect their daughter, Casey?
Based on the conversations I've had with the state attorney's office as well as the Orange County Sheriff's Office, they are not considered suspects, and there certainly are not any pending charges at this time.
Now that the body's been identified, a makeshift memorial to Kaylee has grown. Strangers from as far away as Canada. She's just such a cute little girl, and it's terrible. On Sunday,
I'm just here about trying to help other kids in Kaylee's memory.
A TV news producer announced Kaylee's grandparents wanted to donate the toys to charity. That didn't sit well with everyone.
Leave it for her, okay?
There are other kids here.
We don't care about the Anthony. You should be careful. Because I know. They should have took care of their granddaughter when she was alive.
Eventually, a compromise. Stuffed animals without notes to Kaylee will be given to homeless children for Christmas. All others remain behind. Despite those donations to charity, another memorial has now been erected here a little bit closer to the woods. The family members say, the grandparents say, that they do not have plans for a memorial service until the defense forensic team has a chance to look at Kaylee's remains. Matt?
All right, Kerry Sanders in Orlando for us this morning. Kerry, thank you very much. Aside from the Anthony family, there may have been no one closer to little Kaylee than Jesse Grund, who was a father figure to the little girl. He was once engaged to Casey Anthony before they broke it off. Jesse's here with his attorney, Daryl Cohen. Good morning to both of you. When the remains were found, I think we all kind of quietly knew it was Kaylee, but we hoped against hope. What was your reaction when the confirmation came?
It was devastating. Having that absolution that she was out of our lives, and there was not even that glimmer that, you know, maybe she would just show up against all the evidence that was out there, is hard for all of us involved, myself and my family included.
We've started to hear so much about the legal side of this and the investigative side of this. Maybe this is a good point to stop and remember Kaylee. What kind of little girl was she?
She lit up your life. From the time she was a little baby, from the time she was a toddler. Thanks. She was full of life as a little baby. She loved bouncing around in a little chair, watching Baby Einstein. We went to theme parks, and she loved the characters and loved being around family.
I mentioned you had an on-again, off-again relationship with Casey, her mom. You were engaged for a while and then broke it off. If you could characterize the relationship between Casey and Kaylee, right to the end, what would that relationship be?
Well, it started out as something that, when Kaylee was born, Casey's life revolved around Kaylee. It was all about how she was going to frame her career and everything else around being a family. And it seemed as time went on, it was more of a responsibility than the sole focal point of her life.
You're watching this, Jesse, now not only as someone who for a while was a part of Kaylee's life, you're now watching this as someone who it's very likely will be called to testify in the murder trial against Casey. And A, your reaction to that, and B, what types of things do you think you'll be asked during that? testimony.
Matt, I don't think that's appropriate right now. It's such a terrible time. I'd appreciate it if we just kind of leave that to the estate attorney's office.
Well, let me do this, Daryl, because the last time Jesse was here, he did talk a little bit about Casey's ability to tell the truth. And you said to me, Jesse, at the end of your relationship, she had a problem with the truth. Is that something you'll be willing to talk about on the witness stand?
Well, I don't know if that's something that they're actually going to need to talk to me about. I mean, as you can see from a lot of the evidence that's out there, there's already some sort of proof that there have been some inconsistencies in regards to the things that she says. My personal opinion on whether or not she's good at telling the truth or not, I don't know is going to help them at all.
We just saw in Carrie Sanders' piece, Jesse, that there is a backlash of anger, it seems. Obviously, there is an anger toward Casey Anthony, but it seems as if there's also a certain level of anger that's aimed at her parents as well. Do you understand that? Can you identify with that?
I think the anger that a lot of people are feeling is because of Kaylee, such an innocent little girl, being ripped out of our lives. And I think we all need to keep in context, even those who are angry, that despite whatever the Anthonys have done, they're still grieving grandparents. And there's still people involved here who loved her very much, and give everyone some time to be able to deal with the fact that she's gone from us forever until we get to see her again.
It's painfully obvious how this has impacted you emotionally. How has this case, though, also just impacted your life in general?
Well, any of us who've been associated with this case, it's tough for me to get out there and, say I go apply for a job. All they have to do is Google my name, and they see speculation and everything. And
let's explain that, because in the very early stages of this, there were some people who pointed the finger at you. You have since been completely cleared of any suspicion in this case, but it's obviously had an impact.
Still follows you around. Anything that's ever been written on the internet is still going to follow you around. Anything that's been said, this case has been so publicly covered and, at such a level that I don't think anyone's ever seen before, that there's no way that, I can walk anywhere and escape this, and other individuals involved. This is always going to be with us.
I know you've probably sat there 1,000 times and asked you this last question I'm going to ask yourself this last question I'm going to ask you. Knowing Casey the way you knew her over the time period that you were together, is she capable of this?
The Casey that I knew is, like I said last time, not capable of this. There was somebody I loved very much, but I don't know what this Casey's capable of. I think from her behavior, I see that I don't really know her at all right now, the way she is. And that's hard to swallow when you think you have someone who you're going to be a family with and spend the rest of your life with, and then they end up being a totally different person.
Jesse Grund, I appreciate you coming by and talking today. I know it wasn't easy, Jesse. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Cohen, thank you for being here as well. We appreciate it.